solving them. So yes, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Peely. And this is Lily.
Lily girl right there, Lily Joy. But it is Wednesday. Super excited for today's show. Been a lot going on. Really just been an engaging morning. It was great. We actually wrapped up, got some of Luke's yearbooks and other things that really helped us close out some of his year. And just you look at things and how fast time grows, right? I mean, the kids from the beginning of the school year till now, just the differences, right? But so much that we can think about ourselves, right? We just assume that we're the same moving forward. We're the same person, 1 month, 5 months, 10 months later, but we're constantly evolving. We're constantly learning, and we're not the same person. So we have to look at what we were doing before, what it was that maybe we were looking at before, because maybe it was great for us, but it's not great for us now, or vice versa. Maybe it just wasn't the right moment. And now it is, because we've evolved to maybe have different interests. And so much of our lives are built in these points where we create these assumptions that this is who we are. And we get stuck in that narrative. We get stuck in that point here where we say, this is what I do. Or it's bred into us, this is who I am, right? It's established by our family or our upbringing that this is who we are. And we don't dare change, right? Because we're worried about the status quo, maybe. We're worried about potentially what's the feedback, what could be the feedback from other people that are out there. And there's just a lot to be said that if we can look at constantly maybe update ourselves about how take a look at where we've come, how far we've come, our views, our insights, right? And then the changes we need to make to go forward. So we actually have unplanned construction on the street today, so we actually have that happening, but I'll end up potentially let that roll, but so be it. So how you doing?
I'm doing good. Kids are good. They're settled. Hopefully we won't have that many interruptions today. So we are talking about, I hate to just jump in, because we've talked about this, just jumping in and not hearing everything before you start talking about it, because that gets you into whole bunches of trouble. So I'm not going to do that.
Just the evolution of ourself, right? So I was looking at Luke, him today compared to the pictures that were taken just a short time ago, 8 months ago. So and big. They grow so big, but we forget to look upon ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So he's evolved, he's learned, but what have we learned? What are these things that we're beginning to do with ourselves? And what are these changes we've made? And how can we learn from them? Sometimes it's for the good, sometimes it's for the bad, right? And it's these slow things that we don't think are making a big deal, but they play dramatic effects. I read this story once where someone was eating the same diet all the time and status quo, and two other friends, one was eating 10% more each day, and one was eating 10% less each day and working out a little bit. And for that point, didn't seem like, so today to tomorrow, no difference. Today till next week, potentially no difference. Today, potentially till the following month, no difference. But if you go and get all those people in a room, if you were by that person each day, you may not see this notice of change. But if you look at them a year down the road and bring them all into the room, you realize the person who did nothing, well, it's basically the same person. They're just no change at all. And okay, so they are what they are. The person who ate 10% more ended up gaining over 30 pounds because it just compounded and compounded and compounded. And the person who just did a little bit more working out and ate 10% less, and not a lot, but they ended up losing something like 15 pounds, being really in shape, being really healthy, and just having more energy. So not big changes, but because we're not conscious of our actions, we don't realize where we're at.
So one thing, if I may interject, because I want to know how you have changed and how you have grown within these last 3-4 months, from your standpoint. But for me, I have figured out, and I knew this, it's not that I didn't know this before, but I figured out that I am more powerful and stronger than I know. That there are things that I can do if I put my mind to it. And the only person that's stopping me from doing that is me. So like that person who just stays stagnant, eats the same, works out the same, doesn't do anything different to either back off. And, like the other person who started to eat more, didn't do that. So his diet didn't get worse. He still exercised, but he didn't progress. His friend that actually maybe added something, maybe started doing intermittent fasting, maybe started watching what he ate, maybe added some push-ups for those of you who are doing the 50 push-up challenge. Just that in the last 2 weeks has made a complete difference in like my own physicality and what I can do just with my arms. So just like those little things, those little changes that take you just that one step further, you are all more powerful than you know. So what do you think? How do you think you've grown in these last 3 to 4 months?
So, we've been doing the challenge with 75 hard, which we did, over a year ago now. And doing that at the point, it was tough at the time. And it was tough for us as we were trying to put that into our process. But now it doesn't seem tough anymore. It's not tough anymore because we've implemented that in our life. So something that seemed tough at a certain point now becomes just part of life, right? So as we evolve, we get stronger, mentally tougher. We've grown. I've definitely seen that growth into myself. One thing that's also involved is I've been reading more as part of this challenge. You actually read physical books instead of the point of taking an audible. They both have their capacity, but reading a book, I capture more. I capture more of the book, and so being continuing to grow stronger mentally, and continuing to work on that point where things that maybe would have affected me 10 years ago, or definitely would have, are not even blips on the radar now, because you realize that bigger problems mean you have the ability to have bigger solutions instead of letting these small problems really warrant it. And so I had Dr. Chu on today, and he has 31 patents. He was hired right out of college to solve these massive problems. When you hear this podcast, it was an hour long, and just the information soaked in there, you're gonna have to listen to it 3 times. That's how engaging it is. But he talked about that if I gave you $80,000, or so basically for every second of the day would be 84,000 seconds of some capacity. I gave you $1, right? So every day I deposited $84,000 into your account, but you had to give me back now for sleeping and for work. Your time is sleeping and work. So say 16 hours, 16 something else, you're going to give me back the $50,000. And then another point, the other points is you're eating or you're doing other exercise. You have to give me back now another $25,000. So now you're just going to have these 2 hours left where you have time to be yourself, to do what you want to do, to engage in your purpose, to engage in your activity. And now for that point, you have $7,000, right? That you have left daily. Well, if there is someone who comes in there and steals $20 from you, are you going to let that person, now are you going to go and spend all of your time and your resource, those $7,000 to chase that person down when they took $20,000 to you? And the metaphor there is that sometimes we let the smallest problems just completely disrupt our entire vision. So we have this point where we could use that and go out there and maybe engage and become a pro at something, but we're going to go and get that little guy, get that little girl, get that person who's doing that little thing to us, because we got to show where we stand instead of using our energy in the right way. And it basically relayed into another conversation that by 2050, and I don't want to, there was so much in there, so this is going to steal it, but wow. We're going to have about 10 billion people predetermined on the planet. And right now we have about 7.8. And if you look at the next 30 years here, that would mean that we'd have to basically to encapsulate enough food, enough resources for 10 billion people. We'd have to cut down all the forests in Africa. We would also now have to cut down potentially all the forests in Brazil just to make this happen. So, okay, that's a problem. So now you want to look at that problem, or you want to look at that person who maybe said something that you might have preconceived differently on social media, or you think someone thinks something of you, or we could deal with that mini problem. So your problems today, are they real problems? Or are we just choosing that we're going to put our energy there because potentially it's safer, or it's safer than going and saying, you know what, let me see what I can discover.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, like,
good,
so
because at some point I wasn't sure if I was getting what I was saying, but yeah, you get the
I
drift.
Totally am following what you're saying, okay. And sometimes I don't. I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes it takes me a little, but when you're on the internet and when you're scrolling, you see something that affects you. Just take a deep breath and don't let it affect you. Don't, because like Jason said, don't let those small things derail you. And if you find that those small things are derailing you all the time, number one, get off of social, take a social media break, because you definitely need it.
Yeah.
Or number two, maybe you're letting yourself hide behind those small problems instead of dealing with the big ones in your life. Look at the big ones that you might be having on a constant basis. So if those small things are, or maybe those small things will lead you to the bigger things, but don't dwell is what we're trying to get at.
Mm-hmm.
Look for those, actually don't look for problems. Look for the solutions. Look for the solutions before you get derailed by the small things.
Yeah, as William says, he reads thousands of books, and for that's how we learn, right? Where history just repeats itself, right? And that's why there's a point in life about looking at what happens with history. And what can be saying is that I'm totally following what you're saying too. Good. So Leimale, hi Leimale, and you are working crazy hours. Leimale is in Hawaii right now, so they're I think 6 hours behind. So she is up there. So we of course support Leimale and all family there. But our goals in life sometimes get predicated more by focusing our energy in the right way. If we only have so much energy, where do we want to put that time? Where do we want to put that energy? Where do we want to put our resources? And that sometimes we just don't know. And the conversation today is that's fine, but doing nothing, right? If you're just stuck, well, then nothing is not going to get you anywhere. Nothing's not going to accomplish anything. The lack of action is going to be the one thing, right? You're going to be the same person you are today, just like that person who did nothing, right? Or you can go out there and spend this time, I don't know, drinking or doing other things, or, earn points and other things there that maybe potentially create the 10% negative in your life. Or you could start taking in good resources or start testing yourself. And the one way to get to what you want in life, because most people say, well, I can't figure out what I want. But what are you trying? What are you doing to figure out what you want? What is it? What are those things you're doing? And the answer is you're not. You're just thinking of what do I want to do? But how about you just try things? Just try things, and you'll discover what you don't like. And although you say, well, I spent that time finding out what I don't like. Yes. But you also now eliminated what you don't like, and that's going to be one step closer to what you like. It's we've all been. I was a picky eater growing up at some point. Now I'm not, but there's people today that literally my aunt's do not like eating certain things, but they've never tried them. And I love Britta. Maybe she has. So I don't want to pick her on her. So it's not her, but the kids, right? Never tried so many things, but they don't like them, right? Just this, I don't like that without ever trying it, and. Yeah, why not?
Bananas.
Right, but he's tried them.
He's tried them.
He's tried them.
Like them.
But he's tried them. But at a point here where think of a food that you just say no to, but you haven't tried.
Sweetbread.
Sweetbread?
Not Hawaii sweetbread.
Okay,
that tastes really good.
But
I'm talking about
we all know the person, or maybe yourself, who just says, "I don't like this." Well, have you ever tried it? And if it's not food, it's something else, right? I don't like working out. Well, what have you done for working out? Maybe you had a trainer who just literally pounded you instead of you trying to do something else. So what is it that we can try today to test the boundaries? I'm not completely great with computers. So, Luke and I were trying to write a command for Alexa. It kind of worked, but at the same part, we don't know what we're doing. We're just trying it. And the objectivity of failing, I mean, that was right in front of us, right? It was that thing that, yeah, we're probably going to fail, but will I learn something throughout the way? Maybe I'm not good at that. Okay, I knew, but did I get a little bit more fluent with how things work? Yeah, just that much. But now I can use that to other points. Just think about the steps that need to happen. And what we got from that is that, we have a bunch of our episodes and a bunch of things that are starting to come out that on some of these voice command apps like Google Play and Alexa. And the thing to that is that, yes, we hear you, Alexa. And is that what is it that people will potentially ask to potentially find what we have to say? So what's the talk track? And it's like the same thing with restaurants, right? If you're a restaurant right now, or anything, a florist, are people going to say, hey, where's Jane's florist? Or are they going to say, where can I get Valentine's flowers? And you have to be the one who goes in there and has Jane's flowers, now has to put in the wording, the dialogue to say Valentine flowers equals Jane's florist. So if we're not thinking about trying things, then we're not going to get better at the questions and really hopefully find more answers.
So what is it that we all have to try today? And if you are trying and succeeding at working out right now, we have just passed the 15-minute mark. So if you're working out, if you're running, turn around, come back. If you are getting your sweat on and just working out, then you have 15 minutes to go until the half-hour point. So
yeah, we did yesterday. You did 4 minutes of stationary bike, 14 kettlebells, and then it was a buy-in of 50 push-ups, and then you would come inside. And I would start that while Peely would do with the kiddos 24 free squats and then crunches. And so
until
we did.
You came back in.
And then I'd come back in and do my squats and crunches with the kiddos while they would go out there. And that was a good workout.
That was a good workout. That was one buy-in of 50 push-ups, like you said, and then 4 rounds of what Jason just said.
And then one buy-out of watching kids.
Yes.
Yeah. That's good.
And then there was the run in the morning.
And a run. Well, yeah. And I ran this morning. You run?
I took a very, very brisk walk.
Okay.
I was feeling a little tired this morning, and I know that might be a cop out. That might sound like a cop out, but I started running and I was just like, I'm not going to get through this day if I continue this run. So you make that decision for yourself. I know I could have just pushed myself and got the run done and got my 4 miles in. Instead, I took a nice brisk 2.5 mile walk to the park and back, and I felt good about it. Yep. So I'm not going to let you guys get away with excuses. That's not an excuse. I know my body. My body felt like I could not do it. And William White, yes, we all have to. And I'm going to say, you said work out your patience. A lot of us have to work on our patience.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's a good thing to always look into, right? So
yes, always listen to your body. That's why I love 75 hard. A lot of people jump into 75 hard, and they're just like, oh, Peely, it's too hard. Like working out twice a day and making one outside. There's just too much, and all the water, yada, yada, yada. I get it. The thing is, it's scalable. Anyone can do 75 hard. Anyone. If you can get outside and you can do some squats, and if it takes you 45 minutes to get through 10, and that you are honest with yourself, then you do it. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't, I don't know, if there's something you can't do, you absolutely cannot do the scalable version of it. If you, like I said, if you can't run, then walk. If you can't do 50 squats, then do 10. If you can't do 50 push-ups, try and scale them. Go on a table, go on some stairs, go on your knees if you have to. Just scale them until the point that you can do it. All it is working out constantly for 45 minutes, twice in a day. And like, you should look into 75 hard if you haven't. It is just we've decided, Jason,
it's a regimen to get your time back.
Yes, it's a regimen to get your time back. And we decided it's not a challenge anymore for us. It's not a challenge.
Yeah.
It's our life. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle that we have chosen to adopt. Yes, sometimes we're not going to follow the rules to the T, but if we decide, okay, we are going to do 75 hard for this month, or we're going to do 75 hard for these next 75 days, or we're going to go into phase 1, phase 2, and we're about to jump to phase 3 on July 5th. That is just adding a few more rules to something that's already our lifestyle. So
I was just thinking, one thing I've been doing recently is that I never stretch, and that's horrible to say, but I've started stretching. I think I ran probably, I don't know, close to 1,000 miles in the last 90 days. And I just needed to stretch. I just tell my body, and you have to listen to your body, right? I'm thinking like, can you think of what's the last day I haven't run? And it's probably been a couple 100 days.
That you have not run? I can't even remember. I just assume that.
So if
you don't do it in the morning, which is rare, you get it done. And sometimes you get it done twice. Yeah.
And so I've been running a lot, but you have to look at it. Okay. So what does my body need? My body potentially needs to stretch more, because the one thing that is my lower part of my calves are always tight in the morning, and simply just doing certain things and just small steps to do that. It's not perfect, but my body is opening up a little bit more just from doing just a couple little stretches. But that's me. Okay, I have to stretch. I don't want to stretch. I have to stretch. And there's certain parts of your life that you have to do things you don't want to do because they're for the better. I have to eat well. Well, their dead or narrative, well, just go crazy. Well, okay, you can do that too. But what is your future? What does that do to you, in the future, right? It's like if you run a car and you just don't change the oil, it's gonna be like mud in there, and eventually things are gonna happen. It's not gonna be right away, but eventually the car is gonna not perform at the level that it can. It's not gonna be optimized, and it's the same thing for us, right? And there's a certain point where we don't optimize ourselves. But how do we find what actually works for us? And that's why like 75 doesn't push a diet, because my diet, it doesn't work for Peely. Peely needs to eat more than I do during the day. I eat a big dinner, and Peely likes to have meals, and that's perfect. But that's what she does. And I don't. I can't. It just it doesn't fit in my whole breakdown of how my day goes. But for everybody has a certain point where there's a certain diet that goes on there. And just because you eat a certain way or act a certain way, is my way potentially right? No, but it works for me. So my way may not work for you, right? But you can all build that in. Like intermittent fasting is that for a day or two, you notice it. But now it's like we eat yesterday at 6, and I think we ate today at like 7:30. So whatever it is, 13 and a half hours in between.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. Yeah, I don't put much attention to it. Minus just the fact to get at least 12 hours in between. So change today is that you got to commit. You got to commit, and then you have to try. And you got to commit and just say, okay, it can be anything. I mean, try something. I heard Photoshop has an app coming out because they're trying to engage more with the younger communities, not business oriented. Use that. See if you can edit a photo. So write an app for Alexa. Go out there and write a story, write a book, do a million things. And that goes in there. We actually have started compiling all of our writings into a blog. So we'll get that link up out there soon for you guys, because we have a bunch of stuff that's out there.
So why don't we get some actionable steps? 5 actionable steps to doing something.
How about 3?
Okay, 3 actionable steps.
We've been doing 5, and we don't want you. There's no.
I'm gonna say 10.
Okay.
3 actionable steps to getting to the place where you can start doing something that you don't want to do. So, for instance, number 1, your health. Really look at yourself. Really look at what you need to do to make yourself feel, look, act healthier. And then these are some of the things that I hear, and I know you've heard them before. I don't want to stop drinking. I don't want to stop smoking. I don't want to give up my desserts. I don't want to eat less.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. How can you turn that I don't want to into I should? Okay. I need to. Okay. I'm going to. Okay. I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's number 1.
So lack of commitment, committing now is with that phrase right there. But the next one would be not worrying about what other people think.
Yes.
That is something that holds us back in a lot of points, right? You want to go out there and be a ballerina at 50, go be a ballerina. So again, they're only going to mock in the beginning because they don't understand it, or it's not comfortable to them, but go out there and do it. Eventually you stop hearing the noise. You just do it, because other people's opinions really don't matter. And ultimately they're so busy that you may think you're hearing it, but they don't have time to really pay attention.
Number 3, and this is super, super, super important. You either learn or you win, but you don't fail unless you stop. The only time you fail is if you stop taking action. So you will either, once you try and better your life, you're either going to win at it, you're going to learn from it, mm-hmm. but you will never fail. I'm going to stop using that word. I think it's become too used, that failure is allowed, that fail and fail big and fail as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Yes, we have all failed, but I can tell you every time that I failed, it's because I've stopped and I've let myself down. You don't have to let yourself down. Just keep on going. Say you're 50 and you want to be a ballerina, and then you twist your ankle and you can't. Doesn't mean you have to stop reading ballerina books. Doesn't mean that you have to stop dreaming about it. That just means you have to pivot. Just pivot. You haven't failed if you pivot. that if you haven't failed, if you learn from it. So that's number 3. Win or learn.
I would say the word failure. Think of your life and think about how many times that you've actually failed compared to thinking about failing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thinking about failing is probably 10 to 1, 100 to 1.
Yeah.
And the actual failing, like, what did you do that you actually failed? And failure is fine. Like, we all fail. But what is it that was this monumental failure? Or did you come out differently in a better way, right? Did it just eliminate what was not working, right? And even with COVID right now, there's a lot of businesses that had things taken away and they're in precarious positions. But they will come out stronger. They'll learn a lesson that they'll move forward. And just that's the option. So you will. So that's what we got.
That's what we got.
Tomorrow is another day. Shockingly another day.
What?
And it's 7 ways to be productive. So 7 ways to be productive on another day that we will call Thursday. Should we claim it as Thursday?
We'll claim it
we
as
will
Thursday.
claim tomorrow as
will be
Thursday. You are welcome Thursday. So I think that sounds good. So, and then potentially we might have a name for the next day. So on that one, we shall see you tomorrow.
And
if I can figure out where we're active at.
If you love what you heard, please rate, review, subscribe button.
Yeah, we had like 100 subscribers yesterday across
Thank
YouTube.
You.
Thank you, all of you out there.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
You guys are awesome.
Good. We will see you tomorrow. And I have to get over to everywhere else. So we are still live on a couple platforms here as we're going there, but I will take us out correctly. Thank you again for everybody who checked in today. Thank you again for all the support. We will see you.